felt it would give us the best access to the strongest possible group of senior insurance decision makers.
Insurtech Insights is a must-do conference, I think, for the network that is built here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone to be here with us. And welcome to London and to the conference. I'm very thrilled to be moderating this session with my colleagues. They are a very distinguished group of industry experts within the cyber insurance industry. Today, the idea is to challenge the traditional thinking about cyber insurance, and we're going to be talking about from niche to mainstream, paths to scale in cyber insurance. Our experts here, they're going to bring deep industry expertise, and if you allow me, I'm going to introduce them. We got Chai Sinkin. He's the global head of cyber at Howden, a leader in cyber broking and distribution. He's going to share how cyber insurance is being positioned and whether we need a different approach to how we sell and how we scale adoption. We have also Sidan Williams. She is the cyber risk focus group leader for the rest of the world at Beasley, bringing expertise in underwriting and also in cyber risk innovation, with insights into how cyber risk is evolving and how the insurance market is going to be responding. Kaspar Stops, he is the interim head of cyber at Aviva, also the cyber underwriting manager. He is representing an insurance perspective on mid-market challenges, underwriting for SMEs, and how the market can evolve to better serve businesses under 1 billion in revenue and also anticipate to the future of systemic threats. Last but not least, we have Oli Venables. He is the pre-sale director at Advantage Go, with a deep background in insurance IT and digital transformation. Oli is going to bring insights into how technology is shaping underwriting, claims, and also the distribution models. Why this panel matters? I guess we have seen the cyber risk is evolving and is growing rapidly, but the penetration in the cyber insurance market, especially in Europe, is still under 35%. And even if we actually look further down into the mid-market and SME, it's less than 10%. So a key here, I guess, is the question of something is wrong, what's happening, and how can we actually fix it? The new threats, the new technology, and also all the regulatory changes are pretty much reshaping our industry. So where do we go from here? In preparation for this panel, what we did is we ran a live poll. We asked some key questions, and based on that, we're going to be fooling this session. We're going to be talking about 3 main topics. One is breaking the distribution mold. So are we selling cyber insurance in the wrong way? Should we stop selling cyber insurance in the way we're doing it now and perhaps putting it or embedded it into technology ecosystems? The second point that we're going to be covering is the SME and the mid-market dilemma. Why is it too hard for businesses to buy the insurance? Is it because of the coverage, or what can we do about that, focusing on businesses below 1 billion? And then the future of cyber risk transfer. You will be surprised of all the points and comments that came in the live polling. So we're going to have some very interesting discussion there. So to start, I would like to ask the panelists, what do you think is the biggest blocker to scaling cyber insurance today? Sidan?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks for having me. I think for me, in a short sentence, would be just a fundamental misunderstanding of the product. It's not just insurance, it's everything else that comes with it.
Kaspar?
I think probably when people look at the product, there's 2 things. One is on the cost-benefit analysis that everybody does in their head. They see the cost as not equal or outweighing the benefit at the moment. And I think where cyber specifically has a problem at the moment, and Aviva's done a lot of work in the mid-market, talking to clients, brokers, is this challenge. So if everyone in the room thinks of a fire, okay? And don't worry, it's not hands up, I'm not going to pick on anyone. I know everybody think of a flood, okay? Relatively straightforward. I think if we all drew pictures, they'd be quite similar. Now everyone picture a cyber attack. Probably very different. And I'll give you 3 examples coming off that. Example number 1 of when someone has a cyber attack is, who gets blamed? Yeah, the IT department. They always get blamed. They always get overworked. And what we've actually seen with customers is it is not just the problem of the IT department. And so you find businesses overload their IT departments, and it takes them longer than it should to recover. I'll give you a segue example of that. We had a championship football club, and they had a match on Sunday, and they had a cyber attack on Friday. Their problem was this. They needed full control of their CCTV and security systems, because otherwise health and safety would not permit the match to go ahead. Match doesn't go ahead, all sorts of problems off the back of it. So we were in there on Saturday, managed to fix it, get it done. The point there is not that their IT department couldn't have got it fixed in a couple of weeks. It was the speed that they needed it done at to accommodate their business. And I think people in here will say, well, you know, I'm not a football club, they're quite different, they're quite unique. I would challenge all businesses to say, when you're having a cyber attack, it's amazing how many IT dependencies you have that you didn't realize that you took for granted, and it's helping people understand that. And the last one is, here's an idea, right? If you know, the worst comes to the worst, someone's taking your data, whatever it is, you've got to go and get £500,000 worth of Bitcoin and pay some anonymous person. How confident do you feel going and getting that Bitcoin, getting the money for it and paying someone? So those are the challenges in cyber that I think, as from an underwriting side, we talk a lot about coverage, and coverage is quite bland, quite flat. It's that deeper aspect, businesses actually having an experience that we need to get better at communicating.
Thank you. Oli?
From my side, we attend a lot of different conferences, and what I've seen is an explosion of cyber-related conferences. So I think that from the kind of market side of it, yes, penetration is low. I think it's increasing. To Cass's point, people not understanding or being able to physically visualize what that impact is. I think it's getting better, not writing the business, providing the systems that you can write the business upon. We're getting more and more engagement from our customers and prospects about how in which the cyber risks can be displayed back to them, and deeper and deeper data sets that they're potentially going to be able to use to critically evaluate those risks. So I think that it's been around a long time. The more it gets talked about, the more you have things like CrowdStrike getting into the news, getting people to understand that it's a very real risk, and possibly a higher risk than some of the more standard perils that you've potentially seen before, will increase that continued volume of business in the market.
If you want to comment on that, and perhaps I guess that will be a very good way to also introduce the next part, which will be the distribution model. So maybe after your comments, will be great to hear if you think the cyber insurance needs to be an embedded product based on the expertise, you know, of a broker. Like how then it will be very interesting to see if we are actually overcomplicating the way we're selling cyber insurance too.
So maybe I'll surprise you, but I think that that we are to blame. Yeah, I think we've done a shitty job in explaining everybody what cyber insurance is. We've created an amazing product. People that have tested cyber insurance and have gone through a cyber event will come to you and say, wow, we have never in our imagination thought that cyber insurance can be that broad and that helpful when we have an event. But yet we've created an amazing product and we don't know how to sell it because we make it so bloody complicated and so many questions and so many things which are irrelevant to small businesses and expensive, that people don't want to buy it. So if you go out into the street and ask 10 people in the UK, do you know what cyber insurance is? They would know. Or they would say, yeah, we know, but they would know that it has a working part to it, which is the incident response, the legal, where do I get the bitcoins? We are basically helping these clients in their worst day, but they don't really know it. They think it's another product and it's another cost, and now I need to answer 150 questions which are not relevant to me. That is stupid. Okay, so to your question, what do we need to do? We need to change things. Okay, so what we have done in Howden, what I did with my team, my global team, and I'm happy to say we did it together, because sometimes you need somebody brave to say, okay, let's try it. We came out 14 months ago, we came out with a product called Cyber Plus, and for the first time in the history of cyber insurance, we said, you know what? No questionnaire. You know what? We don't really need the questionnaire. Up to, back then it was 250 million, now it's 500 million. We will give you an amazing product at a really, really affordable price with no questions. You know what happened? People bought it. Amazing, huh? Really, people started buying cyber insurance. And we see it in different parts of the world. So we operate in 55 countries around the world. And you wouldn't believe, but people in Colombia buy cyber insurance.
We do.
Yeah. They buy cyber, right? They buy, all of a sudden, and before that they didn't buy cyber insurance because they didn't understand the value of the product. Is cyber going to be embedded into, I don't know. Right now, every one that tried to do it failed, okay? So Google tried to do it, Microsoft tried to do it, payment processors tried to do it, cybersecurity, MSSPs are now trying to do it, maybe successfully, I don't know, yet to be discovered. But let's not really look for the easy way. The easy way is right in front of our eyes. Let's educate our people, let's make the product really simple, really affordable, and people will buy it.
Thank you. Maybe, Sidon, from your expertise, we're talking about the helping to break the distribution mold, making cyber more accessible. Do you think, are there other barriers that can actually disrupt that adoption, apart from what Chad has mentioned?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, we started the conversation, like we're all insurance people. So we started with this product, cyber insurance is not new, but it's new in the sense of insurance markets, 20-ish years. And we started selling an insurance product, and I think that was probably the problem. We shouldn't have started with insurance. So I think about the conversations I have. You speak to risk managers, but then you speak to the technical teams, you speak to CISOs, legal, general counsel, because a cyber event, to Casper's point, touches every part of a business. So everybody kind of has a buy-in. It's not the IT team's problem. But I think we started with, hi, I've got a product I want to sell you. It's insurance. And, I buy insurance. I don't love doing it. No one likes buying insurance. I think where we've had some success, and Shai mentioned it, is kind of changing the conversation. So disrupting that traditional, here's an app. If you buy your car insurance, right, we all have to test how many miles per year, all these various things, car handyman modifications. No one enjoys doing that. So I think it's around disrupting that model. How can we holistically use data, like what the insurance market can see from the outside in, to inform risk? Because we know there is a huge amounts of synergies within cyber. If you're an SME, your platform's going to be AWS or Google. We're going to be able to make some assumptions about your risk because you're going to heavily outsource it. So that can kind of drive, I don't need to ask that question because I can see it. I think one of the things we've had success at Beazley is we call it kind of full spectrum cyber. It's you buy the promise to pay, but it's actually everything else you get first. So it's talking about the risk management offering. Cyber is so dynamic. As an underwriter, I get to underwrite a client once a year. Across that year, that client's profile is going to completely change. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing real-time claims, threat intel. How can we then pivot that into helping our customers upgrade their security? So Casper did an example, one we had the other day, where some of the benefits, so I was talking to the CFO, actually, and let's just say his cyber insurance policy was costing him $40,000. Through some of the risk management offerings that we were able to offer, so a cyber tabletop, he was about to go pay $60,000 for that from a vendor. And he's like, hang on, I get that for free from my policy. So actually I've saved 20 grand. So it's just changing the narrative of the conversation. But I'll stop there.
Excellent. Casper, Aviva is a very strong mid-market, and what you have done is amazing, and now you are also thinking about changing, also expanding your distribution model into Europe with the agreement that you have with various carriers. One of those nirvana. Do you think are brokers or insurtechs better positioned to close those gaps in the distribution channel that we are seeing now in the cyber market today?
I think it's a mixture. So the other day I saw a headline that said MGAs are the fighter jets of insurance. And no surprises, that came from someone at an MGA. But I would caveat that and say they've actually done a terrific job within cyber insurance in the last few years. And and I think particularly when we look at them, the challenges for insurance companies are broadly tech stack data and regulation, and MGAs can help us with all of those. And you've seen some real success stories recently. I think we'll come maybe into it more, but the value-added services alongside a cyber proposition, we've always offered it and actually had very, very low take-up on it, and there's a number of reasons for that. But it's only probably in the last 12 months that we've really seen clients start to engage in that. And I think a lot of that innovation has been driven by the MGAs, which is quite helpful in a way. I think the broking, the intermediary part is really important. I think cyber is still viewed as a complex product, so I don't really see it being sold directly necessarily anytime soon. And my litmus test for that is my mates. If you ask them about cyber insurance, it's interesting. I think 10 years ago they would have asked me, should I buy cyber insurance? And I would have said, well, yeah, maybe if you can. Now I say absolutely, but if you quiz them, how much they understand about it? I think Shay summed it all up earlier. But the key bit for me is I am one step removed from a lot of my clients. As much as I can go and talk to them and sample them, brokers are at the coalface, listening to the clients all the time, what they need, what they want, and I think that is really, really important. So I think everyone has a different angle to play, and I think that's important because it drives innovation, it gives customers choice. So it's a combination of the three, I would say.
Thank you. And perhaps to complement, Oli, IT architecture actually plays a big role in scalability. How are you actually seeing digital transformation helping to create new ways to distribute cyber insurance?
I think the key part is, as mentioned by the fellow panelists, the dynamism of the line of business is very different. It's a man-made peril. It's a different entity, different beast. We, as a market, we've been writing lots of other lines for up to 300 plus years in the Lloyd's market. So the products don't really alter that much year on year. So the systems you have don't need to be that dynamic and change that much. I think if you're dealing with your software partners or technical partners now, that extensibility and openness to the architecture of the systems they have is not a nice to have, it's now critical. And if you are dealing with people where you want to release multiple products throughout the year or update your product sets in a timely fashion to take advantage of some of these newer, either newer lines or newer coverage and opportunities that are being realized, you have to have a technology partner that can do that. PaaS systems used to get built, use them for 20 years, they don't really change. That's not okay anymore. There are satellite services that you can use to start enriching the information you have. You can do it via reporting and other functions. But we're seeing lots and lots of data partners out there that are coming up with hugely impactful additional data sources that you can use. Well, your technology has to support the consumption of that and the replay back to, at point of sale, the business users are making those decisions.
And if we look into the SME and mid-market, perhaps, and talking about more scaling those businesses, Oli, based on the technology that you have seen, what do you think is missing in cyber underwriting to make sure that it's more accessible to those markets, to that segment?
Data sources really is the thing, because a lot of data is really expensive, but it's only really expensive based on the scale that you're using it to. You can go out there and get, and we speak to a number of different partners in the market, terabytes and terabytes of data. But if you're a small entity, you won't be able to afford potentially the price of some of those larger data sets. So you're going to have to pick suitable scaled versions of that, whether that be a a point and pay option, or sit with some of the larger entities. So if you're a MGA and you go to your capacity provider to form partnerships, or with the broker forming partnerships to leverage and benefit from those data sources, that's how you can look to do it. Because if you want to enter these fast dynamic markets where data is king, you can't not have that data. It's not an option. If you can't afford it, you're going to have to find a way of partnering with those around you to get access to it.
Casper, what do you think is missing then from the underwriting perspective? Do you agree data is one of those points, or is there anything else?
I do. I mean, there's been lots of conversations around data for a long time. I think the future is probably, and I think Sidoni and Shay alluded to it earlier, which is having a large enough data set that has the quality that you can price risk on sort of an aggregate basis across it. This is the risk profile of your business. Would massively streamline and slicken the process, and then you embed things like AI, which I think is coming into a lot of businesses at the moment, and smart analytics and so forth. That will streamline it will streamline two things. One, the underwriting process, and the other thing is it should drive costs down off the back of it, so cyber becomes a more affordable proposition, I would anticipate as well.
And Sidon, talking about more insurtechs and scalability, do you think, bear in mind your global remit and expertise, do you think Europe is truly actually pioneer on this scope with insurtech? And what do you think will be the lessons that we should be taking from other regions into Europe to be able to find different ways to drive the adoption of cyber insurance in that segment?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. So I'll just caveat, obviously I sit on the kind of traditional carrier side, right? So maybe have some opinions on insurtechs. I think insurtechs are really interesting. So if we take the two themes here, data and technology, you've got not all insurtechs the same. You've got insurtechs, maybe if I just break down if everyone isn't quite sure what we mean by that, it's using technology to sell insurance, right? Essentially, it's technology-driven insights, and the insurance is secondary. I think you've got a slight range in the market of insurtechs where they are actually a technology firm and insurance is secondary and will perhaps not always be the long-term thing they're looking to actually build. They're looking to build a tech company all the way through to then insurance companies, the traditional carrier side, that are branching into technology to inform underwriting, where perhaps, as Casper mentioned, insurance companies ourselves might face a bit of a legacy tech stack system problem. I think to your question around Europe, I think it's really loud in Europe at the moment because the adoption is so low of cyber insurance. So there is a big pie for everybody's turn to take a slice of. But I think really a lot of the innovation in the insurtech space came from the US. There were some amazing providers that popped up there, and they were serving a niche. I think in my mind, and this will be a bit of a Beasley angle, but I think insurtechs play a wonderful space in serving certain parts of the market. I think that broad brush is interesting. You mentioned around data, data is the panacea of all insurance companies, right? Data is what insurance runs on. And I think to the extent that you have to be careful with cyber, you don't come in an echo chamber. So if you just be an insurtech focused in one place, cyber is borderless, the aggregation risk from an insurance perspective. There can be a kind of a bit of an echo chamber of, okay, I'm in Romania, I'm going to just do Romanian companies, but I'm therefore going to be disproportionately exposed onto specific issues. I think that's where that global perspective comes in. I think about Beasley, we've got 60,000 policyholders, 40,000 claims that we've handled. It's amazing what the synergies are across that, actually. So there's in my mind, it's like 90% should be globally standard, and the last mile is where you customize. So I'm not sure. I definitely think Europe is doing anything different, really. It's taking a slightly different flavor right now, and it's noisy.
And if we want to ensure there is a speed to make sure that this happens, the uptake happens very quickly, and if we leave the facilities aside, from the broking perspective, what else shall we doing, and how can we actually do it different?
So I think most of you, when you wake up in the morning, you don't ask yourself, oh, this is a bad day, I need to change the door, I need to change the locks on my, I need to change my sprinkler system, I feel really, really bad about it. Most people want to buy peace of mind. And they don't care if the one making or calling it EDR, and if it's Sentinel-1 or it's CrowdStrike or whatever, or it's MFA, it's all things we really need. But what our clients really need is a peace of mind. And they want us, the insurance industry, the brokers, to come up and say to them, and I don't know if the MGAs will do it, if the traditional insurers are already doing it. Is it going to be a bundle? We are yet to see if, the coalitions of the world and NetBase of the world, is it successful? Is selling the tech and the insurance as a bundle, is it successful? Do clients want it? I think most clients don't really care. If we sell them a good product that in the end of the day, behind it is CrowdStrike or call it whatever, and the technology is good enough, they'll buy it, as long as we explain. What we need to do is educate the brokers, okay? We cannot, I have 150 people in my cyber practice around the world, and they're running like crazy selling. We're selling cyber insurance, and it's growing, and this year it was 15.5 billion, and it will double until 2030. It's a great product. No other insurance product is growing at the rate that cyber insurance is growing. It's growing at 25 to 27% year on year. It's bloody crazy. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that Casper, everyone understands what cyber insurance is. All the brokers are not afraid to sell cyber insurance. It's not rocket science, okay? If we teach them and make them a little bit bilingual, so we teach them a bit of technology and a bit of insurance they already know, and take the fear away from it, then all the brokers in the UK that are selling fire insurance and property insurance and car insurance can sell a simple cyber product. $1 million, $2 million, £1 million, whatever. It's not that complicated. It's just they get in front of the client and they're afraid to talk about cyber insurance because it's perceived as complicated. I need to know what EDR is, I need to know what SIMSOC is, what MFA is, what this is, BCP, all these words that we have discovered. Hey, we're doing the same mistakes that we did in the past. Indemnification is not a word used in most people around the world, except in insurance, yeah? Let's make this product simple and affordable to everybody.
I agree. We actually have a couple of questions, and I'm going to start first with one from the Insurance Post. What are some of the challenges with educating smaller brokers on more effective ways to sell cyber insurance? Who wants to start first?
To educate the broker on a more effective...
Educating smaller brokers on more effective ways to sell cyber insurance.
Yeah, quite simple. We have a cyber insurance academy, or there is a cyber insurance academy that teaches, we use it now an external company by my son, I started it in 2014. It just made it into a really good product. But I think that's the way to scale up, is to do it digitally, not to get 10 people in a room and explain to them what cyber insurance is. If we want to make it scalable, let's teach everybody, educate them, and we can do it, by the way, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I guess what we are also doing is info products. So we are also building like a cyber masterclass that are available to brokers, but also to clients. And I think it needs to be also tailored to the industry. We need to speak the same language, because otherwise, sometimes if you put, as to Casper was mentioning before, they might say, but why is this relevant to me if I'm not in the football industry? But if we actually make it easier to them to make sure that we are speaking the same language, I think it's going to make things easier for them. And also to your point, Sidon, before, sometimes we also don't speak to just cyber risk managers or the CISO or the IT. Sometimes it's just the procurement department that they don't really understand insurance. They just need to buy a product. Sometimes, often, just to check or tick the box. So I think, yes, it's on our hand to make sure that we do something better. Casper?
Yeah, I'd just add to that. I think it's important to try and make it real sometimes as well. So, please do use Shay's company. But also, I would say, we do a lot of tabletop exercises. The reason we do those are, there's two aspects to it. One is I actually think there's a nice aspect where you come home and, your partner, daughter, whoever asks you, what did you do today? Oh, I did a, cyber crisis incident. Never going to happen, but it was quite fun, right? So you've got something to talk about. And the Aviva cyber team did a crisis management tabletop exercise with a company we use called Control Risks. And the first one you do with no preparation, and the second one you do, control risks get involved, right? Round one, we were so rubbish. It was unbelievable. We were all over the place. We were not going to solve this crisis. A bit of intervention from control risks, and it was 1,000 times slicker in terms of what people were doing, how they handled it, allocating roles and responsibilities. And I think, yes, you can do the training, but the more we can bring it into real life, what this looks like, and give people a little bit of that experience, I think it helps them as well.
And I guess as we move into the future of cyber risk transfer, what is next? We have a couple of questions here, so I'm cautious of time. We only have 9 minutes left, but...
We only mentioned AI once. I counted it.
It wasn't me either.
It's the only panel.
It said AI once. Yeah. Something's wrong with us. Yeah.
But you will be surprised because actually in the live poll that we did, that came a lot. So there is a massive expectation actually, from the answers that I'm seeing here. They saying they would like to see how cyber insurance is going to evolve with artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and continuous coverage models. And then we also have one question here from the audience that is actually saying, is there a need for a lower threshold to the mandatory disclosures around cyber attacks that are currently occurring for any company? Will help socialize the exposure, or do you think doesn't really help? Who wants to answer first?
I'll take the one on AI because I think I think it is. We are actually in the middle of probably the biggest revolution that we've seen in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. And it's going to affect every part of our life. It's already affecting every part of our life. And it's going to affect dramatically the way we look at insurance and sell insurance. And it's going to be 3 years away from now. So it's not going to be in a decade. It's not going to be 2 decades. And it's going to affect not just cyber insurance, but every part of the insurance industry. Just to give you one example, and I have lots of them, but we don't have time. Most of the work that is being done by our people today will be done by AI agents. So most of the work which is tedious, a bit boring, sometimes not rewarding, collecting information, sending it to the underwriters, getting it back, negotiating, all of this will be done by AI agents that will be much more intelligent than us. They will have hundreds of IQ. They will do it amazingly good. They don't have coffee. They don't need vacations. So they will be working like crazy. We'll need less people. And the last 20% will be done by humans. Why humans? Because in 3-4 years, you will not trust anybody, okay? We've been taught to trust people through emails, through technology, through a lot of these things, but you are going to see a big shift because technology is going to go like this, that people will not trust anybody, and you will need to buy products only from somebody that you trust. So the last 20% of the sales process, you will want to sit with somebody which is not an AI agent or somebody which is not in Teams or Zoom or whatever to have this interaction. So only just this part, but take the whole process from proposal, from collecting information, everything that you know today will change in 3 years.
That's a very interesting point. Sidon, I'm keen to hear from you. Do you think the artificial intelligence is actually a tool for better decision making, or is a disruptor that actually is reshaping the industry, or it could actually become a future risk itself?
I think in true underwriter fashion, I'd say it's all three. I think I think there's three things. AI is not unique to cyber insurance. There's AI, that's what is going on in the insurance market, what Shai talked about. I think that is just fundamentally going to change our business. I think I won't go into that too much because I think it's probably going to be covered quite a lot at this conference. But I think when it pertains to cyber insurance, I think there's 2 points to it. There's the fact that the risk, cyber insurance is really dynamic. The claims environment, the threat environment, AI is changing that. We're seeing this now. A really layman's example is phishing attacks are still one of the biggest indicators of compromise. How companies get got, for want of a better word. We joke about it, but a couple of years ago it was the Nigerian prince, or you could look for really dodgy Eastern European potentially spelling on emails. Now the phishing campaigns are phenomenal, and that's AI, right? But the flip of that is then the detection and response capabilities that AI is enabling. There's kind of this like cat and mouse game going on. So I think we're going to see that develop, and there'll be different motivations. I love that someone said cyber's a man-made peril. It completely is. I haven't heard it said like that before, and that's exactly what the threat environment is. It's humans using computers. So I think there's that dynamic of AI is going to constantly change the product. Well, not the product, the threat landscape and how the product will respond to it. In terms of the underwriting process and how that pertains to cyber, I think it will increase the understanding. So what we've been talking about, kind of minimizing those barriers to entry to get a cyber insurance policy. And if you're a business, you have an AI agent, your AI agent might be able to fill out your application if we still have applications. Or the insurers will be able to use AI to understand more of a company's perimeter without needing to ask questions. So I think it touches all those buckets.
Ollie, do you think there is something else that is big in terms of technology apart from AI that's going to help to redefine the cyber industry?
I'd love to say that I think AI will change it fundamentally in 3 years. I've been in the insurance industry for 20 plus years. Technology doesn't usually move that quickly. For maybe some of the technologies and some of the other industries, we would see a 3-year complete change of the whole industry. I don't think we're going to. There's my semi-controversial. Yes, it's going to change certain amounts. It's going to change certain jobs, etc. But AI is one of the many technologies that could have a potential impact. And the constant need for cyber insurers is to see all of the different potential attack vectors that are changing all the time. It's a hugely variable area. AI is one of those areas. IoT is an area. If I can take out someone's manufacturing by bugging their heavy machinery, it's not AI. But the more IoT on gas lines, rather than having a guy go out there with a crank and turning through a gas point to reduce pressure on a line, are going to become more and more greater attacks, and contingent BI. Where you are insuring someone, but where is the line past that? What is the actual cause? That's where the data is going to be important, and AI will start looking at that data. Yes, it will, of course. But insurance is fundamentally a people business. It's been a data business the entire time it's been around, for 300 odd years. It's a data business, but the people understanding, interrogating, reacting, and then dealing with the other people to actually buy it is never going to disappear. And AI is not going to 100% change the industry. It's going to change a lot of it, 80%, yeah, never 100%.
I'm cautious of timing, and I'm also keen to cover the quantum computing question, maybe from the underwriting perspective. As we all know, quantum computer is going to change the encryption model as we are seeing it today. And certainly, it's going to change all the standards overnight. So it's going to rewrite all the rules. So perhaps from the underwriting perspective, how do you underwrite a risk that is inevitable, which at the end of the day, this is what we do, that's part of insurance, but this one is pretty much, at this moment in time, is pretty much impossible to fully quantify today. I don't know, Casper, sit down.
Quantum computing. I mean, what I would say in quantum, it's very far away from anything that we're doing at the moment at Aviva, I can assure everyone. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think quantum computing at the moment is the stuff of labs and hugely intensive capital costs, and it will need to flow down into commercial organisations and potentially nefarious organisations for that to happen. My understanding is it is potentially kind of so intelligent that I probably would say I can't really get my head around what that will really look like. I think everyone's heard the challenges around security with quantum computing, that encrypted data really no longer becomes encrypted because it can get around those encryptions. So it will be interesting to see what plays out in the next few years. I'm going to come back to it. There is an AI race on, unintended consequences and all of that, of which I'm sure there will be some. Just like I watched the documentary. I think it was social. It was about Instagram, right? And it was about likes. And the likes said when they first created likes, it was just about liking photos, yeah. And it got so weaponized, right? It all became how many likes do you get? If you only got 5 likes, that was really bad all of a sudden, right? Really interesting unintended consequences, and I think we will see that in the future. Insurers talk a lot about sort of black swan events and so forth. Something where we do have our eye on at the moment is systemic events. We saw a bit of that in CrowdStrike, but it was a big event, but it didn't really touch the size at the same time. So we do have one eye on the future, but quantum computing is probably a leap too far for us at the moment.
Thank you. I think the time is up, but before we close the session, I think it will be interesting to see if anyone here in the audience, maybe very quickly, would like to share just one word, something that for us here in the industry, I think is very important to understand also your views. So what is one thing that the insurers, brokers, or even technology partners, insurtechs should be actually using tomorrow to make sure the cyber insurance goes where it needs to go? Claims.
Like your football one, claims examples, it's a bit like D&O, direct and obvious liability, people don't buy. Sorry, it's a bit like direct and obvious liability. When they say, well, why do I really need that? Breaches of law and this. You give them claims examples, they suddenly get it. Cyber, I honestly think we're not seeing enough claims examples. And when you talk about claims examples, that's what makes it very easy to sell, because they go, oh, yeah, that could happen to me. So not talking about the technology on the product and the this and the complexities of the cover. It's like, what does it actually do for me? If I'm in trouble, oh, look. And, oh, look, that type of incident could happen to me.
Thank you.
I would just say to that, because you don't want to be the person saying, we got ransom attacked. Because it makes it look like you haven't done something you're supposed to. You can get that. There are data providers that do loss event and claim data if you want some.
I would say, I think the point that you're making, that I do agree with, which is, I even think our claims examples can be quite bland, right? Someone had a ransomware attack, they lost their data, they had to pay a ransom, right? You don't really understand the emotional experience that people go through, and just how bloody annoying it is, when your business is under attack and if you can't do any work for a week or 14 days and everybody's stressed, trying to get people to understand that, and this is a product that helps you with that. I think you're right, that is part of the key to this.
Anyone else? Or are there any other questions maybe from the audience? No? There's one here, just very quickly, as we have 1 minute, maybe for Oli. How important is process optimization for cyber insurance from the technology perspective? And what are the main challenges that you are seeing helping maybe carriers or even brokers in that implementation?
Process optimization, so how you're using the systems.
Yes.
Making sure you've done a proper UX UI journey for the customers and clients who want to use technology. There's still a lot of people out there who are designing systems not for the users, they're designing them for technical audiences. So just make sure that, again, the user is front and center in that journey, because it's technology is our business, but people make it work. And if you forget that basic principle, you're not going to have a technology process optimization.
Okay, thank you. So perhaps just to recap, it's very clear that cyber is not a niche risk, it's a business risk. And there is a clear sign that we would be working together to make it accessible, relevant, and also scalable. And the way that we're distributing cyber and positioning it in the market needs to change, perhaps from traditional policies to embedded risk solutions. And with that, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and thank you to the panelists as well.